Hi, and welcome to this week's The Positive Habit Anxiety Free, Stress Free. This week, I'm going to continue on with my work on acceptance because I do think it's so vital, and we really need to spend a bit of time working on it because we can't move past it until we actually have really worked on that principle of what it's like to accept not only anxiety, but what it's like to accept ourselves entirely, completely. I want to help with any negative thoughts that may come up. They can be related to anxiety in terms of what if, which is a very common sort of anxious thought concerning the future. What if this happens? What if that happens? And for a person who is suffering with anxiety, it'll usually be the worst case possible scenario. We call this catastrophizing, which you may or may not have heard of. So, for example, if a person does have a anxious thought in that way, what if something terrible happens? What if there's an accident? What if the plane, crashes? All of these really very hard, strong thoughts that have in fact not happened. They are just purely what ifs of the imagination. So let's work with one of those for today. It could be any other type of negative thought as well. So it's not just the what ifs, but this is an example that I do see a lot in my work with people who will be very concerned about possible outcomes in the future, a fear, if you like, of what is going to happen. So, what I'd like you to do is let's just imagine that one of those thoughts comes into your mind, and what we can do is almost like pressing pause with the thought. So, this is a mindfulness technique where it's like watching subtitles on if you're watching a movie with subtitles and you see the thought come in. So, it's an awareness. Awareness is paramount to success in terms of feeling better, in terms of flourishing, in terms of reaching your full potential. So the awareness of that thought, it's like capturing it and keeping it there. And rather than following it with another anxious thought of what if this or what if that, you simply accept it. Now it sounds easy, but our instinct is to immediately reject it, to resist it, to not want that thought because it is so overwhelming. But believe me, if you can actually just sit there with it, with your hand to your heart, take a really big, deep belly breath right into the belly and say, it's okay that I feel like this. It's okay that I feel like this. It's okay that I feel like this. And what starts to happen is the power of that thought starts to melt. It's like the sun with snow, it just starts to dissipate it. It doesn't have the strength anymore because there's no resistance to it. That is the first step. I'm going to work with you more on this, but if you can give yourself that time to simply be okay with a thought such as a what if thought, a negative thought, what will happen is it will slowly, the very thing that we want to happen will happen. It'll start to dissipate, to go away. And that's what we want. So I hope you've enjoyed this. If you would like to follow more of my work in terms of what I do, you can look at my online program, The Positive Habit. It is very much based on the principles of positive psychology, of neuroscience, and it's having transformative effects all over the world. So you can log on to thepositivehabit.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.